listening to Planet Vero Radio. I am Cindy Schwartz. We are broadcast on iHeartMedia and also podcast on Spreaker. This is the Patient Partners Show. I've got my co-host Jeannie Roller with me on live stream. Today we're talking about advanced directive and what people can do to say what they actually want to have done during a surgery procedure, going up into it, and what they're agreeing to, what they're not agreeing to, because we found that so many of these informed consent paperwork or just consent paperwork really leaves an open book for what can be done to you because none of it is really specific. Probably done on purpose. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. But just so many of those that we've read and we've read on this podcast, we've also signed our own selves, know that when something does happen, this hasn't covered you in the least, sadly enough. My own experience, your own experience, Jeannie. I also want to throw in there that in a future podcast, hopefully we'll be talking to a lady who literally recently had a procedure. It was an elective procedure. When she was in the OR, the male tech, so it's a female patient, was a male tech that told her, well, go ahead, and these are my words, not hers, not his, I wasn't there, to go ahead and strip down naked and get yourself on the table and just go ahead and do it in front of us because, that's just the way we do it. So I'm curious to interview her and find out what really happened because she sent an email to one of our patient partners, Mr. Roberts, at patientmodesty.org, and was quite upset when you read the email, and we talk about this every week on this podcast, how there is everybody out there that this is happening to. We keep hearing it doesn't, and one of the big things that she did say on that, Jeannie, was that there is apparently no more human dignity. We aren't treated as human beings, and we're basically nothing when you have a male or a female patient just literally strip in front of a room full of people, and that's just okay. So I'm just throwing that out. Hopefully we can interview her in a short while and see what the true story of that is. Hopefully she's not too traumatized, which she did sound like in the email, and we can get some answers for that and what she did at the facility. It was an outpatient surgery facility, what she did saying this to them and why this happened to her, because certainly no one agrees to this. So go ahead, Jeannie, let's talk about what people can do as patients to try to get the kind of care that we are really trusting and signing on for, but yet we don't seem to be getting that.
Well, after my husband's medical assault, we thought of ways that maybe in the future we could prevent some of the things from happening. And, the thing when you go to the hospital is, do you have an advanced directive? Well, an advanced directive is usually thought of as an end of life medical legal paper. Mm-hmm. It also can be used if you're unable for some reason to speak for yourself. A lot of times for older people, that they have an advanced directive. So we thought, well, could that work for patients, just your normal average patient?
For that one-time shot in surgery, you mean?
Right, or for anything, really. My husband now carries his very advanced directive with him everywhere he goes. He has it on his phone because there are apps that you can put it on your phone. In case you're in an accident, it's there. They can get to it. But his very advanced directive is the things that he won't tolerate. He won't tolerate any female care and intimate care. If that happens, he's already said no. It's in his advanced directive. He says no to drugs like Versed or fentanyl. That's all in his advanced directive. He spells out he wants no medical students. He wants no sales reps. And if he is unable to speak to himself, that I have his power of attorney, that if he has been given any kind of drugs at all, that I am then his power of attorney, that they don't try to get things done through him being drugged like they did up there when he was being mentally assaulted. It just spells out all the things that we are trying to prevent. He's even, and this isn't for everybody, but in his advanced directive, he has put the names of people that he will not accept any care from ever again, because he wants to make sure that these people are never, ever involved in his care. So as I said, his is a very advanced directive. It goes past.
Mm-hmm.
It goes past what the normal advanced directive would.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it happens too when you're so assaulted in a situation that you had complete trust in. So sometimes people do err on the side of caution to the extreme. I mean, that's what this sounds like, but we don't want to say it's extreme because it's happened to us. I mean, if it hasn't happened to you, it does seem like it's extreme, but we're telling you, you really have to, mind your P's and Q's for your own body and mind awareness, because geez, you don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, I gave a quick example of another woman here for an elective procedure, and there's no way that she signed on for that or even knew that this was going to happen to her. So you're right. I mean, and how do you know that this is going to work? I'm just going to be the devil's advocate. How do we know that this is going to work? That people are going to honor this? I mean, in some instances we don't, but I mean, we're trying to find ways to facilitate more humane, more respectful care for each of us.
Right, and that's what we're doing. Do we know it's going to work? No, we don't. But, in our minds, we have put it out there that this is the way we want to be treated, or he wants to be treated. So it is out there. It is on paper. He has signed it. He had an attorney witness it. Mm-hmm. So it is a legal paper stating his wishes, that whenever he seeks any kind of health care, these are his wishes. Mm-hmm. This is what he must have. This is what he will not tolerate. So it's there. And, he has put a clause in there saying that he realizes that if he doesn't have females involved in intimate care, even in an emergency basis, that the result could be his death. But he is of a sound mind and body, and he accepts that consequence because of what has happened in the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, another thing that we've talked about, too, on many of these podcasts is, and it sounds funny, but it really isn't funny, and I don't mean it to be funny, is that it's almost like you have to bring your own attorney with you when you sign these forms. Because you and I have both been coerced into signing legitimately a form, trusting that this was going to happen. My instance, one of it was blood transfusions, and then for somehow, some way, I'm not going to put my neck on the line. Somehow, some way, those papers got re-signed and rewritten. That's all I'm going to say about it. And it wasn't the original paper that I personally had signed, and the same as in your situation and many other ones of people that we've interviewed, and it's happened in, I can count like 10 states right now off the top of my head of people that we've talked with. So it's not just here in Florida. It's not just you in Indiana. It's been in Alabama. I can go on and on. The list is endless, and it's sad that that's the way it is. And this lady also happened to say in the email, is this about just the person not being a human being any longer? Is it just supply and demand?
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, it's like with any profession. If you give little people power, then it goes to their head. And a lot of times that's kind of what it is in the medical field, is that they have so much power and control over patients that they do believe. I mean, I've talked about it before in other areas, that it is kind of like they feel like they own the patient for the time that you are under their control. They feel like they have ownership over you. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we have to give it up to, these doctors and are highly trained. I mean, they go to school for years and years and years. God love them. And God love the people that are out there doing a really good job. We say that all the time, the doctors and the nurses. But I mean, how do we get to the bottom of helping patients avoid ones that aren't and have some kind of say in the whole matter, to where we know what the care is to what we get? So we've got a couple of seconds left. I want to say our website, if you want to get a hold of us, is info@patientrightsinfo.com, or just look on patientrightsinfo.com for more information. Jeannie Roller, another great segment. Stay tuned. You're listening to Planet Vero Radio.